When the biggest names in our game go head-to-head on the Oki, you can expect nothing short of fireworks. The hate and contempt some players have shown one another over the years has led to some spectacular battles and unforgettable moments for fans. Today we explore the most intense rivalries in darts history. Number 4. Phil Taylor vs Adrian Lewis. There is no greater rivalry than that of the master and his protege. While it's unlikely that the protege in this story, Adrian Lewis, would ever admit that Phil Taylor was his master, the bad blood between these two created one of the greatest rivalries of all time. Both hailing from Stoke-on-Trent, their bond began when Adrian's mum and stepfather met with Taylor, asking him to take their young son under his wing, just as Eric Bristow had done years earlier for Taylor. Taylor obliged, even allowing Lewis to stay in one of his properties in Stoke for free. They went on to jointly represent England in the Darts World Cup, and both became world champions in their own right. So when Lewis won his first world title and publicly trashed their master-protege relationship, it damaged their relationship irreparably. To make matters worse, the power stood just a few feet away when Lewis uttered those hurtful words. This betrayal would only fuel Taylor's fire though, as he went on to dominate Lewis in their subsequent head-to-head record. Of the 72 times they faced each other, Taylor won 55. One match, however, stands out as one of the most memorable of all time: their encounter in the 2013 Grand Slam semi-final. According to Lewis, this was his greatest performance against Taylor. Taylor started guns blazing with two 12-darters to go 2-0 up, before Lewis responded in kind, fighting back to go into the first break with a 3-2 lead. Both these masters of their craft then hit a record-breaking 32 maximums between them in the game. After 16 legs and such a masterful display, nothing separated both opponents. Taylor finally snatched back the lead for the second time with a 10-8 scoreline, as both players were left with 160 checkouts. Unfortunately, Jackpot failed to capitalize. Taylor, however, made no such mistake and took full advantage of Lewis's error. This was the moment that broke Lewis's resolve, and the power went in for the kill, securing a 16-9 victory with an average of 109.76. Despite Lewis averaging 110.99, it wasn't enough to get him the win. He was frustrated that even his best performance wasn't enough to dethrone his arch-rival and unavowed mentor. Number 3. Michael van Goen vs Peter Wright. While some dart fans may see Michael van Goen's rivalries against Raymond van Barnavelt, Phil Taylor, or even Gary Anderson as more intense, his rivalry with Peter Wright has more than meets the eye. These other rivalries were incredible and exciting to watch, but no one takes top spot as MVG's #1 rival more deservedly than the colourful Scotsman. When you consider how many times they've faced each other and the sheer magnitude of some of these events, you start to understand why this is one of the greatest rivalries the sport has ever seen. In the history of professional darts, no two players have faced off more than Van Gerwen and Wright. Previously, this rivalry wasn't on the radar simply because MVG dominated Wright every time they met. But things took a turn when Snakebite won the 2017 UK Open, beating Goen Price in the final. Everyone discredited his win, saying it would have been a different story if he had faced Van Gerwen. While this may have been true, Wright realised there was only one way to shut the naysayers up. He needed a resounding victory over MVG, preferably in a final. Before 2017, Snakebite had lost 9 previous finals against MVG, and even after he won the 2017 UK Open, Van Gerwen still took him to the cleaners 4 more times. Getting one back and breaking the hoodoo his tormentor had over him would be a welcome relief. This came in emphatic fashion on one of the biggest stages in professional darts. During the run to the finals of the 2020 PDC World Championships, Wright publicly declared he wanted to face his nemesis and finally get one over him. Snakebite's wish came true when he beat MVG in the final and won the World Championship 7-3. The best thing about this rivalry is that, although it's been quite lopsided to date, it's still far from over. Number 2. Phil Taylor vs Raymond van Barnavelt. Barnavelt. Two of the best players of their era had one of the most historic rivalries in professional darts. It all kicked off when Raymond van Barnavelt moved from the British Darts organisation to the Professional Darts Corporation. Barney, who was head and shoulders above everyone in BDO, needed a challenge. When Taylor's reign of dominance began, Dennis Priestley was the only player who stood a chance against him in the PDC. So when the new blood arrived to challenge for Taylor's throne, he didn't disappoint. Van Barneveld made the switch to PDC in 2006, and their first clash came later that same year, ending in a 7-7 draw. This was the start of 10 long years of high drama. One of the most outstanding matches between these top dogs was the 2007 PDC World Championship final at the Circus Tavern. Many described it as the greatest match in the sport's history. The game started with the Power going full steam ahead, taking the lead 3-0. Barney then made an unexpected comeback. They fought tooth and nail until the scores were drawn at 6-6. Finally, Van Barneveld pounced on a rare opportunity and defeated Taylor 7-6 to win the championship. However, given their history and highly competitive natures, it was only a matter of time before things got heated. It all hit boiling point in their 2012 World Darts Championship semi-final clash, after the Power won the match 6-4, but took offence at Barney's strong handshake. A few shoves later, Van Barneveld wrapped his hand around Taylor's shoulder to prove that he didn't mean it the way Taylor had taken it. Overall, they went head-to-head 83 times, with Taylor winning 61, Van Barneveld 18, and the rest being draws. Number 1. John Lowe vs Eric Bristow. The first truly legendary darts rivalry dates back to the early years of the World Championships in the late 1970s. Although the rivalry of Eric Bristow and Bobby George was in the conversation, it didn't compare to that of Bristow and John Lowe. The intensity was so great that it spilled over to the spectators as well. You were either on Team Lowe or Team Bristow. No middle ground, and no quarter given. It was no surprise that the pair didn't get along given their personalities. Lowe, nicknamed Old Stoneface, was more straight-laced and all about professionalism. On the other hand, Bristow was the flamboyant entertainer. He was about fame, money, and glory. Bristow would go on to win 2 World Championship finals against Old Stoneface in 1981 and 1985. Still, his greatest hour in this rivalry was in 1984, when he blew Lowe away, thrashing him 6-0 before going on to steamroll Dave Whitcomb 7-1 in the finals with an average of 98. This was unheard of back then. He averaged over 90 in his 5 matches that year and won 24 sets, dropping only 1. Bristow seemed unstoppable. Finally, Lowe got his moment against Bristow, just as Peter Wright got his against Van Goen. In the BDO finals in 1987, Lowe beat Bristow 6-4 and would thrash him again in the semi-final 5-2 the following year. 6 World Championship competitions between both legends ended in 4 wins for Bristow and 2 wins for Lowe. Will any future rivalries ever surpass these? Like and subscribe to Darts Unleashed to see more showdowns in the world of darts.